Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome today. It's a pleasure to meet everyone. I'm Jen Lully, and I'm going to be hosting our event today. Welcome to the Fashion and Luxury Goods Investment Conference organized by the Startup Club. So while we wait for everyone to join, you're welcome to write down your contact details and your short bio in the chat and network with the other attendees. My co-host, Mathilde, is going to be sharing the schedule and the link to the pitch decks for the startups, and we'll discover in a few minutes. Please use the general chat for a private messaging function to ask any questions you have about the startups and, of course, to interact with everybody. So once again, everybody, welcome. I'm Jen Lully. I organize pitch events here at the Startup Club, and we introduce advisors and investors to selected startups during online events. So I'll just start with a short intro on the Startup Club. The Startup Club is a one-stop shop for global entrepreneur communities. Our vision is really to assist startups and scale-ups and growing companies in their fundraising and development needs to connect with other entrepreneurs, investors, advisors, mentors, and other key strategy players in the startup ecosystem. We organize a series of pitch nights and investor networking conferences. In 2022, we hosted over 50 successful events and workshops, and we're happy to count over 70,000 members in our online network. We host events on various topics such as green tech, health tech, fintech, valuation workshops, and we're planning to expand in other industries in 2023. We do offer other services as well, such as valuation reports, pitch deck reviews, promotion packages, etc. And our events and services are listed on our website. You're welcome to check it out and reach out if you'd like to receive more info. But today I am happy to introduce three amazing fashion and luxury companies. Our first one is luxd. It's going to be presented by Charles Latour and Fred Ruffson. They're an American company, a luxury marketplace transforming how customers buy off market luxury goods. And then following them, we have Terra Ferra. They're a Miami-based community. They are, here we go. They are a community-powered fashion platform, and that's going to be presented by Maxim. And then following, we have Vashi, presented by Charles Beach, and they're a UK-based company, and they work to customize fine jewelry for personal fine jewelry. So now I'll pause there and just introduce everyone to the format of the event. Each startup has 7 minutes to pitch, and that's going to be followed by 15 minutes of feedback and questions from the advisors. And again, anyone can use the chat to ask any questions that you have to the presenters, either myself or Mathilde, and to network during the event. So now I would just like to ask the members of our advisory board to introduce themselves. I'm very happy to welcome you here today. We have Claudia Baumgart. And if you want to take a moment, Claudia, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Jenny, and thank you for the kind introduction. It was also very helpful and useful for me since it's my first time participating at an event with you guys. So yeah, my name is Claudia. I have a background in private equity and venture capital. And since the beginning of last year, I'm the co-founder and CIO of Pavao Capital. We are based in Zug in Switzerland, and we are a business angel community that invests on a deal-by-deal basis into retail and consumer tech startups. We start at seed stage and move up the ladder until like selected late stage opportunities. But we only invest after first successful commercialization. And yeah, we have about 15 investments, and of which we successfully exited 2. And I'm very excited to hearing the pitches today. I went through your pitch decks, and now I'm looking forward to listening to the details.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, and welcome to the board. And next we have Marina. If you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself, Marina.
Yes, sure. So hi, I'm Marina. Actually, I'm still stuck on traffic.
Oh, no.
So this is a typical German thing. I'm actually from Hamburg in Germany. I'm a business angel myself, having in my portfolio more than 10 investments right now. Most of them are in the FMCG and luxury fashion beauty spectrum. I'm actually a founder myself. I founded a beauty company 5 years ago, and scaled it up to the fact that I'm actually hosting it in the German home shopping channel broadcast. So I'm coming a lot from the consumer perspective, because I'm all about love brands and getting great products out there to people. And I hope in 15 to 20 minutes I'm at home and I can share my camera with you.
I love it. And drive safe. Welcome, welcome, and thank you so much. And Josephine is our next board member. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jen and Mathilde, for the invitation. So my name is Josephine Dorès. I'm a VC associate at Plug and Play Tech Center, which is a Silicon Valley-based VC with a corporation of innovation arm. So at Plug and Play, our vision is that innovation should be open to anyone and anywhere. And so we do this through our innovation platform. So which are three key pillars. First one, we run over 60 accelerator programs annually in more than 20 verticals all around the world. The second one is that we call our innovation platform. So we work with over 600 large corporations who want to innovate with startups. So across many industries, this cooperation range from Nike to BNP Paribas, Mercedes to L'Oréal. And me, I'm focused on retail. And the third one is investment, so which part of our DNA. So we are early stage investors, so typically seed or pre-seed stage, but sometimes Series A, with an average check size of 100K. So relatively small check size, but we're super active with over 200 investment per year across our global offices in different focus areas. So software, B2B, and we are industry and location agnostic fund. And we typically invest in companies that are a good fit with our ecosystem, so corporates, to try to be strategic investors and bring them as much value as we can with that network. So very happy to be here and looking forward to the pitch.
Wonderful. We're happy to have you. Thank you so much. And last, we have Claire Kent. Claire, if you'd like to introduce yourself, we'd appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. I'm based in London and I've been advising and analysing luxury and retail companies for almost 40 years. I started my career as an equity analyst researching retail and luxury goods companies, primarily at Morgan Stanley, but I also spent time at Merrill Lynch and Morgan Grenfell. I then started my own consulting business in 2008, and I advise private equity companies, luxury goods companies, and other sorts of investors. And I'm also on the board of Prada SA, and I'm a senior advisor at Smith Square Partners, which is an M&A boutique.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And all of you, incredible experience. We're happy to have you and hear from you in the pitches. But without further delay, we would love to get started with the first pitch. So I give it up to the floor. We have luxd presenting first, and it's going to be presented by Carlos and Fred. Time's all yours. Feel free to share your screen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much, Mathilde. And thank you all for being here. Let me start with a little bit of also introduction from ourselves. My name is Carlos, originally from Barcelona, but we are both based in New York. And what I've done throughout my career has been helping luxury goods companies, either from startups to existing brands, and helping them making global or revamping the brand. And as we will tell you later, that's a little bit what brought us here. But Fred, if you want to introduce also yourself.
Sure. Just quickly, I've been in the luxury goods for the better part of 25 years. I've worked for the major groups. I started out as president of Tag Heuer, which ultimately became LVMH. I then moved on to Mont Blanc, part of Richemont. So I spent, Marina, a lot of time in Hamburg. Great city. Then was global president for one of the brands within the Movado group. And since then I've been working with startups and have done a couple of them on my own, primarily focused on luxury goods and, convincing people that they need things that they don't really want. That's kind of the job. or convincing them to buy things they don't really need is probably a better definition.
So you guys have the link to the pitch. So let us explain you why we are here, right? All the team at Lux, we've been in the luxury industry for like, I don't know how many years, more than we want to admit. And every single year we had to face the same problem, right? What to do with the excess inventory. And it's been having to deal with this problem and having to always make the same mistake when trying to solve that problem that brought us together to build up Lux. Because we wanted to have an option from the brand point of view, and there was no real solution in the market, because we could either liquidate it, and then we get some cents on the dollar, the bottom line gets a little bump, but you lose total control on where your goods are going to be appearing, how are they going to be marketed, how are they going to be priced, right? Until recently, you could even destroy it. So in order to keep the brand equity, trying to keep it intact, but it's getting so bad that a lot of countries are making the destruction of the goods illegal. France started last year. Spain is going to start in a couple more. And in the whole EU, it has to be, no one can destroy this kind of goods by 2027. So it's just a matter of time that this is no longer an option. On top of that, we live in a moment that we've seen with Coach in the US, or what happened to Burberry. It can really destroy the brand reputation when you are trying to destroy the excess inventory to protect the brand equity. Also, there used to be, or there still are, some kind of resellers that it's kind of a liquidator on steroids, but they're not a friend of the brand, right? They are their own business. You have to send them a lot of your stock in consignment. Then they sell what they say, you get paid, and if they don't sell it, you get the goods back maybe 1 year later, 2 years later. So you get the problem even increased. And we are seeing lately in the last couple of years, not a single one of these resellers has the ability to become profitable, as we'll see in the model that we've built. But they rely on so many authenticators, so many people, so many operating costs, that it's all of the margins. So what we've built in at Lux is a very profitable margin, where we don't rely on the authenticators, we don't rely on the logistic chains, as we use the brands to ship the goods, so we can pass on to the customers guaranteed authenticity.
Right. Our goal across the board is to keep things very, very simple. So in the ideal world, what would be the best thing for the brands? The brands want total control. They want control of messaging and inventory and visuals and which product is shown, and they can't get that. They can't even get that through traditional retail and wholesale channels, let alone what happens in the aftermarket. Now, that aftermarket situation hasn't improved. It's probably worsened given the economy and what's going on in China, but this has been going on for 25 years. So it's not a new phenomenon. So the brands want total control. So if I said to the brands, what's your wish list? Well, I would want to be in total control of the process from start to finish, okay? If I'm a consumer, what am I looking for when I'm buying luxury goods? I want authenticity, I want to be able to trust who I'm buying from, and I want to be able to share in the brand experience, whether that's online or offline. That's the ideal world. So you kind of look at it and say, well, what would be the perfect partner? We would be the perfect partner because we give the brands complete control over all aspects of the business. It's guaranteed authentic product because it's shipping directly from the brand. Think about it from an experience standpoint. What would be the best way to deliver the brand experience is to get the product directly from the brand. So there's a financial incentive for us to do it. There's also a brand incentive for them to do it because they get to offload inventory. Now, we are not in the move 50,000 pieces in one day business. We are in the business of recreating the brand experience and giving them complete control over pricing, merchandising, what they show, what they don't show, with a very simple backend that is essentially self-managed. So the site has been built. It is live. We bootstrapped it. We have a couple of pilot brands basically testing just to make sure the front end and the back end works as promised. And we're ready to now move to the next phase. For investors, what's the ideal situation? The ideal situation is a team that's been there before. We have decades of experience. We've seen it from every angle, on the buy angle as well as the sell angle. So there's nothing that's out there that's going to surprise us. We can leverage our numerous contacts in the luxury business and have built a great team. And as Carlos was mentioning, a financial model that is solid because we work on a very simple 30% commission. There's no inventory, there's no receivables. All of the dollars that we get from investors go into marketing, customer service, client success, and technology.
So what we really wanted to offer the brands is what we were lacking when we were at the brands, right? The brands themselves choose what do they want to market in our platform, how do they want to market, how do they want to price it, how many units do they want to dedicate, if they want to make discounts or not, and they can even keep direct communication with the customers. We wanted to make as much interactive as for the customer to the brands to give the customers a real brand experience. On top of that, what we have built in for the brand is ownership of the data, right? When the brands right now use any of the models, yeah, they make a sale, but they are completely blind. Who are they buying? Who's the real customer? Who's buying from the other platforms? Who's buying from the liquidators? What price are they paying? They get 100 units, they get $100, but that's it. What we're giving them is starting to know the next customer and starting to know the trends, starting to know what's liking into the market, what's working within the platform. In other words, as Fred said, we are giving them total controls and putting them in touch with customers that the brands don't know that they even exist.
Just to build on that quickly, one of the added benefits for the brands is we all know how expensive customer acquisition is, particularly in the luxury goods business. By working directly with them, we are essentially giving them zero cost customer acquisition. They process all of their business. The customer processes the business through us. It's fed to the brands. The brands do all the fulfillment in brand packaging, brand communication. So the brand experience is there. And now they've attracted a customer that they could sell to as much as they want at zero cost. So there's a lot of benefits to the brands to really be focused and not worry about where the next 10,000 units are going to be sold, but don't kill your brand. That we're in the don't kill your brand business. That we've seen it all, and some brands can recover and some brands can't recover. But it's a huge market. It's a growing market. It's a global market, and I think we have a great solution.
It's a market that, as Fred was saying, it's growing at an incredible pace. Brands have no real solutions. They're trying to do some things here and there, but for example, let's use a couple of brands in the US that they will start trying to touch on the resale market themselves, right? This is kind of potentially cannibalizing their own sales was either what they're going to pitch, either the excess inventory or the current inventory. So it's every year is increasing. Even some of the resellers have started wholesale program, because it's the consumer that it started to untrust the authenticity. There's been quite a notorious lawsuits against a couple of the resale portals, because they were selling really amazing replicas, but still replicas. So what we did was also conduct an online survey with 1,500 people, and what we found out is that customers are willing to pay a little premium to ensure that what they're getting is indeed authentic. And authenticity is the #1 reason for any purchase done online. So that's why we think that luxd is a model need in the market, not only because there's a demand from the consumer, but because having been in the brands for like more than 50 years combined, we've always desired a real true solution for the brands, built with the brands in mind.
One of the things, I don't want to spend too much time on the resellers, but we've been pretty successful at convincing the brands that we are not in the reseller business. And while resellers may be a very hot topic in the trade press, it's kind of like an inside baseball type of thing, that if you took the amount of press that resellers get with the number of brands in the reselling business that are profitable, it's a very bad proportion. So we're not in that business. We've been able to work with a bunch of partners. Carlos and I have, tremendous contacts in the business, but we've been very cautious and selective about who we go after, because we want to make sure this works so that when we go out there, we can deliver the full experience. Like we said, it's all built. Each brand has their own little sort of boutique shop and shop on the site, and they get to control everything. Think about a department store with shop and shops. Well, we've kind of recreating that here, but doing it online.
Time for you to ask as many questions as you want. So please, which are your questions?
Wonderful, great transition and wonderful pitch. Very, very interesting. First, let's hear from Claudia.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay, great.
Yes.
First, I would like to give you some feedback, guys, and then we'll move to the questions. So yeah, well done. And I think you guys are really tackling a genuine problem. I think there's really something that it's a real problem out there. And if I just think about how many Louis Vuitton scarves might be burned each year, it's something that we need to work on. I think you guys, given your passion for the topic, we can see the founder market fit. So I'm really convinced that you guys know what you're doing and that you know the industry very well. I think one topic you could add a little bit more to your pitch is the sustainability aspect. So how much CO2 do you save by doing that? What are the, let's say, savings, quantitative and qualitative KPIs can be a little bit clearer. So because we're living in a world where clean tech, sustainability tech is very, very important. And I think you could position yourselves a little bit more like luxury meets sustainability. So right, to make the topic a little bit even hotter, I would say. And I looked at your reference brands and your pilot brands, but for you guys to really do or I know you're only looking for 500K right now, but I think you definitely need a lighthouse project at some point in time. So you definitely need to convince one of the bigger brands at some point to work with you, because this is one of my first questions. So I get the point that probably the luxury brands are not going to add a second layer, like the real luxury brands that never do off sale like Moncler or Louis Vuitton. Okay, this is our previous collection, go and shop here. I know they don't want to burn their brand equity, but why would they work with you instead of setting up something like this right, themselves if they're obliged, let's say legally? This is one question. Also, I think, let me quickly check. What I didn't get 100%, what is your customer interface? Do I shop like on a marketplace website that's luxd or is it like, what's the vision? Because it looked like a KPI dashboard for the brands, and also like you said, there's no CAC for customer acquisition costs for the brands, but what are your customer acquisition costs? So these three questions.
Just a couple of things. I'll let Carlos handle the more difficult ones because he's just how we work.
Okay.
So, but to the first point, you know, sustainability is, as we know in the luxury business, is a little bit of a challenge because of just the materials that we use. The sustainability story comes into play when we're not recycling things. We're actually giving them a second life or a third life or a fourth life without the brands having to produce more inventory. So I think that's kind of a kind of a key point there. Luxury brands never want to be first, but they don't want to be last. So for us, we think the golden ticket is to get a couple of marquee brands. Look, is it going to be Cartier and others? Maybe not, maybe, who knows? But there's a whole world of luxury brands out there that I think once we get a few on board, because remember, we have totally de-risked this for the brands. We're not taking inventory. They put it on the site. They toggle it up the site. They do whatever they want with it. So it's a totally de-risked opportunity with free customer acquisition. So I think we'll be able to acquire brands, and then once we get people going, I think that the momentum will build there. Is it easy? No, not at all. But I think it's about, for us, understanding the market and where do we belong today, and what can we do later on as we start to get some more traction.
I just want to add here. So let's think about the big three, right? Kering, Richemont, LVMH. Every single one of them is they have investments in the 3 or 4 big resellers. I'm sorry for them because they are losing a lot of money. Starting from the Real started at 20, now it's $1.20, something like this. So they know that they need to do something, right? And obviously that's a model that for them it's really easy to get rid of 10,000 units, right? So whoever goes into the warehouse doesn't look at a pile of goods. Okay, that fine, it's good. So I'm just throwing it in there. Is it working for them? Well, not really. A lot of them are retreating the products from there. They exaggerated, or they increased the number of parallel imports that they were put into those resale sites. They had to equalize the pricing across the majority of the countries. So why are they going to come to us? Because they will be able to control it, and they will not be cannibalizing against themselves. It's going to be a completely different channel under the Lux umbrella. So the customer is going to be shopping at Lux,
Okay,
Louis Vuitton, but shipped straight from the brand. How soon or how how late, time will tell. As Fred was saying, they don't want to be the first one. They don't want to be the last one. We have Up West, which is not as known as LVMH, but is expanding heavily in the domestic US market. And all it took for them to sign an LOI was a first conversation. But what they ask is, okay, bring me 5, 6, 7 more brands, and I'm ready to jump in.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the tier 2 and tier 3 brands are going to be first, obviously.
Right. But to your last question, it is a marketplace. It is a marketplace. So you kind of come in and think you're entering a department store, first floor, Neiman's, Bloomingdale's. You see different shops. So we tell a little bit of our story, guaranteeing the key touch points: authenticity, trust, direct from the brands, promising them visually what we do. So that's content that we create. All other content comes from the brand. So now you enter the store, and it's as if you're in a branded store. Anywhere
like
in the
a
world.
shop and shop concept.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, last question, and then I want to give the others the chance to ask as well. The customer acquisition costs, which is really important, especially in a marketplace model, because it's quite expensive.
Yeah, good question, and I'm happy to share all the financials later on if you're interested. We are forecasting about $150 for first year, and then second year $100, and then $50 on year 3. Mainly investing in digital marketing and social media, but we also have partnerships with influencers and stylists that will bring also people to the site. So think about your personal stylist or personal shopper that will be able to shop at the same time with you, guiding what you would like or what you would need for that outfit, for that event within the site. But 80% is going to be in digital marketing, social marketing, performance marketing, and with this budget of $150 per customer during the first year. We have forecasted that the average sale after seasonality, because it's a market with some seasonality, the average ticket is going to be in between $450 to $550. So we can easily cover with the 30% platform fee, let's call it like this, to put that fee to be reinvested to cover the cost of the first year of the customer acquisition cost.
Okay, I want to give the others the chance as well to ask some questions and to give feedback. Sorry, guys.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much
questions.
for the sustainability point. We're working on.
I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And now we'll move on to hear from Marina next.
Yeah, so I hope I hope that I got everything, because as I said earlier, I was in the car and I was listening to it. So basically, I think the CAC are quite high, because I'm challenging. I fully understand that the CAC are that high. I'm like, I don't doubt the 150 behind it. It's just rather kind of the main challenge I see is in this whole luxury reseller marketplace game is, on one hand, it's quite costly to actually create all these attractiveness, unique content around the products and the brands and stuff like that, because if I look at least in the European market, it's very competitive to have the best collaborations, the best content, the most fanciest IG and website content and stuff like that. So that's really, really costly, and it's a huge effort to actually have to keep the customer sticky to your brand, because in the end, if you don't have any exclusive collabs with some VIPs or influencers or whatsoever, people can actually gather luxury goods at other marketplaces and stuff like that. So that's kind of, so what is the strategy to actually position yourself or your brand and your marketplaces more unique than the others out there?
Authenticity.
With regard to content creation, with regards to positioning, with regards to storytelling.
Right. Well, a couple of things on the brand level. We totally agree that most of the luxury brands are using the best talent available, and so will we, because they will be providing all of the content for their own shop and shops. Okay, so that's part of the controlling of the process for them. So it minimizes the cost for us. So I think that's a big piece of it. But you're correct. We have to create brand luxd. We're not just a place. I think the benefit there and the value comes in. We give the customer an opportunity to participate in a lot of different brand experience. So sure, they could go to one brand's website, great, buy what it is, but we also provide them access to other brands in the luxury space that they know, but also more important, luxury brands that they may not have heard from. One of the opportunities is to curate brands that are new. How do we define luxury? Well, luxury can be as easy as being in the know and discovery. So I think it's going to be a building effect. but you're right. I think the cost of acquisition for any business that you've ever dealt with in the digital world is a challenge. But I think we're going to take it, be very smart and try to invest as many dollars as we possibly can in customer acquisition and creating that technology experience.
Yes, and honestly, here's what I'm challenging, that each brand kind of provides you with the content and material and their landing pages and content and whatsoever. I think that's difficult, and I think that's the moment in which you don't become a brand luxd, because every brand does it differently and stuff like that. And your platform has to have a unique feeling, meaning that you have to put your CI layer, your communication layer, and everything on top of all of this. And this is, at least if I look at, I don't know, in Europe, Luisa Vera Roma is a quite huge thing. And they started out 15 years ago in having each brand as well showcase itself and letting the brand communicate their way on the website, on the platform, in their content style and everything. And this led to a really frictional brand experience on Luisa Roma. And actually they changed and turned around and did it another way to actually provide the consumer with a Luisa Roma experience and not with Louis Vuitton being at Luisa Roma. I know Louis Vuitton is just
I think one of the maybe the analogies here in the States could be Tourneau Bucherer, where the store is an accumulation of great brands in watches and jewelry. There's very little Tourneau product, but it has become the destination in New York for fine watches because their ability to bring people in and create that brand experience on a foot by foot basis. But you're absolutely right. We have to do two things. We have to provide a great experience for the brands to participate, and we have to build a brand image for luxd. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of experience building great brands. So I think, not that it's easy, but I think we understand the challenges fully. And I think your points are really well taken.
So that's kind of, at least from my point of view, the sustainability topic we addressed as well. And as I said, honestly, I think if you stick with €150, $150 per customer acquisition, then you're doing great. That would be a good thing. I know that some of you might think that it's kind of expensive. It is expensive. It's a lot of money, but it would be a really good metric.
Right. Just remember, the first 1,000 are very expensive. After that, it becomes a lot less expensive. So, but great. Thank you so much, Marie.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it. And we'll move on to Josephine. Mathilde and I were also hoping that we could keep, for time's sake, the questions to just 2 maximum. But the floor is all yours.
Of course. Yeah,
Thank you.
don't worry, Jen. In fact, you answer a lot of my questions, so it's great. Thanks a lot for your presentation. It was super interesting. We've got a lot of luxury brands in partners, so we understand the challenges, and I think this presentation answers well the challenges. You seem to be very passionate, so it's great. Totally agree with Claudia to have maybe more sustainability on your presentation. I check also your website. You mentioned that you don't want to have a second hand, because why having second hand when you have new product? I'm not sure it's great to put that, in nowadays can be like greenwashing sometimes, so maybe be careful on that. I don't know. I totally understand the brand image now. It was one of my concern for that, to have like a client like Chanel to be your clients and become your clients. In terms of brand image, it can be confusing for the client. Also have a question in terms of authenticity. It's also a big challenge for luxury brands, and you mentioned a lot of this word during your presentation. My question would be, how do you create this new legitimacy with the luxury brand? Because I think it can be difficult.
So let me tie the authenticity with the second hand. Why don't we want the second hand? How someone can be sure that when you buy something secondhand, you're
Totally
buying
agree.
something authentic, right?
Of course.
Because there are replicas so amazingly well done that you will realize it when you have to service the watch, or you need to repair the wallet or whatever. So that's why we don't want to have this kind of a
Totally
secondhand.
understand.
We might need to. I agree with you. We might need to rephrase it.
Yeah.
So it's not like so we can skew towards more the sustainability. And about the authenticity, what's more authentic than getting it straight from the brand, right? So that's a total peace of mind for the consumer. That everything that it's shop at luxd, it's shipped straight from the brand. So it's like it doesn't get more authentic than this.
Well, you think about the reseller part of it too, is many of the brands are getting into that business themselves, which I understand not giving that business away to third parties, but it doesn't really help the excess inventory problem. As a matter of fact, it probably takes a purchase out of the marketplace.
Yeah.
But if a brand was able to get into the resale business and was able to refurbish it, if they wanted to put that on our site, it's their call. Because the product will still come in. If it's Cartier, you're going to get the red box, and it's going to feel just like you got it from Cartier. So I think if they wanted to do that, great. But our story to the brands to start out with is, let's give some life to your first product, first-hand inventory. So, but good question.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks. And in terms of, maybe you mentioned that, but in terms of stock management, it's going to be on their warehouse, right? You don't have any stock management.
Right. Yeah, we're using the logistic platforms of the brands themselves. Why? Because if we have to create, if we have to take care of the logistics, then we will bleed out to death, like it's happening to every single marketplace. They are like, I don't know, Real just lost 150 mil, and they are losing the same every 3 months, every 4 months. Vestiaire is reinvesting. The investor has pumping money because they have so many, so huge operating expenses that it's not a sustainable model. It's good because they are able to buy 10,000 units from the brand, but them as a companies, they will never be profitable with that model, never.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because the brands would say to us, well, what if the volume is so much that we can't handle it? We have to remember we have our own e-commerce business to run. And we said, well, that would be a really good thing for you, wouldn't it? Because remember, you're making 70 points on every sale.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of money in the margin that they're making to be able to reinvest it in the business. And again, the challenge with the authenticators, you could probably find 100 really good authenticators, but as you scale, the quality of that person has to go down.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the trust and the authenticity piece, as we found out from the research, is important, and they're willing to pay for it. So, time will tell.
That makes sense. Thanks a lot. That's it on my side. We need to, I think we're a bit late.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Well, thank you both, and all great commentary. Next, we'll just start with Claire. If you have questions, floor is all yours.
Thank you for the great presentation. I think in summary, I think that the challenges for you are really going to be a combination of convincing the brands to join you. So I think that that's sort of going to be the number one issue. And I wondered which brands you're sort of in discussion with, like if you had the 500,000, which brands would you be sort of targeting first? Whom do you expect to join you soon?
Well, we have 3 firm ones that it's kind of this pilot test. We have LOIs from West. You can find them all in the pitch deck, the ones that will jump into the platform first. Couple big names like Isaiah and Santoni, and having them would be just a stepping stone to present to even bigger brands. But as Fred was saying, luxury is not only the big 3, right? There's thousands of brands that, especially in the US, people never heard of them. And it's about the uniqueness, the luxury is the exclusivity, the uniqueness, the discovery. And we can also target these, let's call it like medium size, or not just the Maison from the big three, but the smaller ones or the independent ones, to provide this kind of discovery, uniqueness, being the known. How soon the one of the big three will come or not? They're not going to be the first. Let's be honest. But as Phil was saying, none of them wants to be the last.
Right.
And,
to just to build on that, we are committed ourselves to not only our knowledge of from an operational and marketing standpoint, but also our contacts in the business. So because of that, other than travel and entertainment, there really is no cost of acquisition to the brands, of us getting brands. We don't have to spend any money to get them to participate. You know, we're not committing to co-op, we're not committing, if they want to participate, they will, because they see the opportunity. So we're trying to keep as much of the dollars to be consumer focused on experience, and also bringing some value and brand building through the marketing. There are, we may not get the top 3 brands out of the groups, but as Carlos was saying, there's a lot of brands within the group that they may want to test drive us with maybe some of their second tier brands, the second tier. So, you won't get Breguet, but maybe Omega wants to do. I think it's going to be dependent on our ability to tell that story to the brands and leveraging our relationships and our commitment to leveraging those relationships.
I'll leave it there because I know we're in a hurry, but thank you very much and all the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you all so much. Great presentation. And I appreciate the consciousness of time as well. We'll move into the next pitch. Now that we've heard from luxd, let's hear from Terra Ferra. And go ahead, and we'd love to move right along and speak with you, Maxim.
Yes, hi everybody. Give me 1 second. I will try to share my screen.
Thank you.
Do you see the presentation now? No.
See lots of files. Lots of files.
We have a lot of Excel and Google Chrome.
Okay. 1 second. Can you share maybe presentation on your side? I don't know what's going on, and maybe somebody else can start instead of me.
Yes, I can do that.
One
second. Yeah.
Thank you, Mathilde.
Do you see it?
Okay, great.
Go.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer, very much.
Perfect.
So yeah, I'll start from myself. So a little bit my bio. So I'm 45 years old. I was born in Moscow. I was doing different sort of entrepreneurial projects from 12 years old. I was educated as a software engineer and got MBA in marketing later on. So I built, in Russia, I built 3 unicorns. So the largest mobile phone retailer in the country, one of top 5 credit card banks, retail network for largest telco. And I was also involved in fashion. So I did exclusive franchising for Pandora, Danish jewelry company. And it became very successful with like 80 million EBITDA in just 3 years after the start. So I worked with fashion jewelry designer here in the US. So I moved to US 8 years ago. So I immigrated and lived in San Francisco and the last 3 years in Miami. So I experienced the problem which small fashion designers have in the US. And a little bit more about myself. I was at 31, I became a self-made billionaire in Russia. and then 38 after Crimea. I lost everything, and so now I'm starting new chapter. So the problem we are solving is ever-raising marketing costs, digital marketing costs for fashion. According to McKinsey and Business of Fashion Research, for the last 8 years, digital marketing costs went up 3 times. And just last year, they went up 38% for Instagram and Facebook platforms and 70% for TikTok. And this inflation will continue to grow, and emerging fashion brands in affordable luxury segment, they pay around 50% for distribution in boutique shops or department stores like Neiman Marcus. So they pay a lot for acquiring new customers. Another problem they're facing, typically venture funds don't finance fashion projects, emerging like early stage fashion projects, and emerging designers get funding from friends and family only, or from very expensive merchant cash advances. Please, next. So we believe that engaged communities is the future of fashion marketing, and we create the tool to build such communities from day one. And we think that, so we know that each brand, each fashion designer has around 5 to 10% of the most loyal audience, and this audience buy around 35% of the products. And we also know from research that 44% of Gen Z, they want to be friends with the brands. So they want to be closer to the brand. So they don't want to buy from large fashion houses, but they shift their behavior, and so they want to buy from designers they know, especially in the US. In the US, there are many new fashion brands. And we think that the best way to engage these super fans is to involve them into co-creation process and let them to share revenue, to share success with fashion designers, and also get some social perks, participate in exclusive pre-sales, early pre-sales. We are gamifying pre-sales, so allowing them to better customize and personalize the products at the stage when they're not yet designed. And also we think that we live in the time of collaborations like Gucci, Adidas, and big brands already doing this at full scale. And we think that if we facilitate this process for emerging fashion designers and create collaborations between fashion designers and between fashion designers and other types of creators like musicians, artists, we think it's the way to expand their audiences, email lists, and Instagram and our platform following. So please, let's go next. So we simplified the framework for co-creation process. So it's very flexible. So fashion designers and brands, they can create different stages. At each stage, people can do submissions of their works, their ideas in different forms, in text and video and pictures. Other people can vote for different works or support these works and creators with by buying gift cards and coupons from the brand and the designer. So let's go next. So the market is huge. So 30% of all e-commerce sales in the US are done in fashion industry. And when we take just a portion of the market, which is online sales, where influencers get percentage of revenue sharing, we arrive at around 64 billion US. And the market for merchant cash advances in the US is also growing, and it's much smaller, of course, but it will be around 5 billion in the next 5 years. Let's go next. So we don't have direct competition because effectively what we are building is a hybrid between Instagram and Kickstarter, but with very much advanced features for co-creation process and revenue sharing. And also we are in the overall trend for social e-commerce, and social e-commerce is growing at like 40% each year. And the US market and Europe is far behind China in this space, and we believe that social e-commerce is the future. Let's go next. So our business model is to take royalty for the products co-created on Terra Ferra. So we anticipate fashion brands and designers to create special collection on their website, like co-created on Terra Ferra, and all the items which were co-created with their super fans, with their most loyal audience, will be placed there, and we plan to take commission on that. This commission is including payment fees, so effective commission is less than 5%. Plus, if the emerging designer or brand needs crowdfunding through like early pre-sales or through like revenue sharing type of crowdfunding, like merchant cash advance, we take extra 7%, including payment fees for that. And if we act as talent agency, if we help people find professional collaborators, if we create like creative teams, so we take 10% on the rewards ambassadors or co-creators get. So next. So our core market are emerging fashion designers in affordable luxury space. So with average price of $300, average product price, maybe like 20K to 50K followers on Instagram, around 1 million yearly sales. So in the future, we believe that we can expand both down market and up market. So we think that we can work with very large brands like top three brands, and also with designers who are just finishing fashion schools. Please go back for a second. Please go back with the slide. No, next. And our distribution, our go-to-market strategy is very similar to Patreon. So Patreon is US-based platform for digital creators, and they help digital creators to monetize their super fans better. And our approach is very similar. So we go directly to designers, we sell to designers, and we educate them and help them to bring 1 to 10% of their audience to our platform. So our customer acquisition costs are very low. So we expect to spend money only on B2B sales. Next. So how it works? So instead of spending 50% on sales channels and distribution, we offer to spend this money in different ways for people participating in the process of co-creation. For some people it will be like social perks, exclusive discounts. For some people it will be like revenue sharing and interest, but in different ways. Like 50% of distribution, 50% of retail price, in our view, can be spent much better. And based on research we believe that we can increase sales to superfans by 30% through the engagement and involvement them in the process. And also, we believe that we are solving. We help to solve the same problem as luxd mentioned. So the problem of sustainability, like overstocking and everything. And so we believe that we can shift up to 35% of designers and brand sales to pre-sales, to early stage pre-sales, and helping the brands to shift to on-demand production, up to 35% of their volumes. So we raised 300K last year from Venture Studio. We built the platform. So the platform we are tweaking, testing it since November. So we plan to launch in May. Next. Next. About the team, I told a little bit about myself. So my co-founder, so she worked with me. So she ran jewelry business in one of my e-commerce companies. So she's in Dubai right now. And my friend, so he lives in Miami, so he built what became TikTok US. So he built the company called Musical.ly, which was bought by ByteDance China. And so he helps me with all the social part. Thank you. Next. So we are raising up to 3 million in a rolling round. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Great presentation. Thank you so much. And now we'll hear from the board members. Claire, we're going to go ahead and start with you first. Kind of switch up.
Yeah, thanks for the very interesting presentation. First question I had is, or one of the things I didn't quite follow is, you seem to be doing or offering to do quite different sort of aspects. Like, for example, you know, the investor base is like a completely different set of people to, you know, the designers. And, you know, another issue that stood out was on-demand production. I mean, you know, that a lot of sort of factories have very large minimums. Like I just didn't really see how you can access all these different groups of people. I think it would be more straightforward if you were just doing the bit which was, you know, the designers and helping people, you know, the super fans co-create. I could get that, but then bringing in investors and trying to, like, you know, have on-demand production, it just didn't seem, you know, totally realistic to me, because they're such different worlds, really.
Yeah, okay, I will answer this. So we believe that when we speak about investors, a lot of people do retail investing right now. So all of the platforms, like for equity investing and everything what's going on with crypto and Web3, so many people invest in very small checks. So they invest like $100, like $1,000. Like average check, for example, on another platform which is called Finvestor, is like $2,500. So we speak about people like retail investors, and they can invest in the same way as invest on Kickstarter. So like buying the products which are not yet manufactured, or just invest as to get interest. So we believe in the future of retail investing, so with very small checks, and we believe that super fans, they can easily invest. Like rather than just buying one thing for $300, they can in the same way invest like $1,000 in the collection they like, if they want. And when we speak about on-demand manufacturing, we plan to partner with such companies. So we don't plan to run on-demand manufacturing ourselves. So we just plan to have a network of partners doing that.
So do you connect the different designers to the network of factories?
In the future, yes. So in the future, we will be able to consolidate their orders and get better terms for on-demand manufacturing for them.
I mean, I think my overall sort of feeling is that I would probably start with one of the bits that you've explained rather than trying to do all of them, that I just think it's too complex a business model. And that I mean, I ran a brand myself, and I know dealing with factories is extremely difficult. And, you know, if we tried to do sort of smaller minimums than they wanted, which would be necessary if you were trying to do on-demand product, it would have never ever worked with our factories. And something else I just wanted to ask you is what is the valuation? You said you were raising $3 million, but I didn't hear you talk about the valuation.
Yes. So we plan to roll out this in stages. So we go in exactly how you explained. So we start with superfans. So investing, it will be second stage, collaboration third stage, on-demand manufacturing fourth stage. So it's like it's not all at once. I'm just showing you the picture, which will be in a couple of years, but we go in stages, of course. In terms of valuation, so the first million, it's Y Combinator safe, 10 million cap, 20% discount, and the second 2 million, twice that. So 16 million cap, 20% discount.
Cool. I'll thank you, and I'll let the next person ask their questions.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the questions and feedback. Let's go on to Josephine next.
Thanks. Good. So thanks a lot for this presentation. I think community engagement is a really hot topic for retailers, and to have the brands that are able to generate indirect revenue through the loyal followers, I think it's super interesting. My question will be about your word super fans. We know that sometimes influencers are not the best to talk about the brand because they don't really know the brands. What would be the profile of super fan for the different brands?
So like typically in social media, you have like 100 people. 1% of these people, they like 10% like comment, like, and like 1% create content. So 1% want to create content out of your 100 followers. So our most important focus is for this 1%. So people who are creating content, who are willing to create content in different ways. They can give ideas, they can have a dream of some personalized product from this brand, so they can, so these are people, for example, when I worked for a fashion jewelry brand, our average item was $250, but we had customers buying like what, $20,000 per year, for example. So we had a subset of customers buying like 100 times that. And these customers, some of them want just to consume, but some of them want to participate. So some of them, so they are very attached to the brand, so they buy numerous items. And so they want just to sometimes learn from the designer, sometimes to see like behind the scene work, sometimes maybe willing to give advice to designer or the brand. So, and through the platform we are building, it's also possible to test the demand, because like emerging designers, they put their items in different boutiques, test the demand, and then they order the quantities. And with this group of super fans, you can effectively test the demand before you launch the collection to the public. And so it helps to understand what people will buy and what they will not.
Yeah, totally understand. I think it's avoid the waste, and it's super interesting. In terms of clients, you mentioned a lot of fashion designers. Are you also considering to have in clients like brands like Lacoste or brands like that, or it's just like fashion designer personal fashion designer?
So we plan to work with large fashion brands. So once the platform will be tested, established, like more developed. So I think for the top fashion brands, we will be ready maybe in a year or two.
Okay, perfect. And also my last question will be about your fundraising. So you mentioned your valuation. Maybe you can tell us why you're raising this amount and for which goals?
So just we mostly continuing building the product operational team. So these kind of things. So we are so currently we are spending like very little, like 40K per month. And myself and my co-founder, we don't get salaries, but we'd like to speed up the process of development, going to market, B2B sales. So we'd like to speed up all the processes.
Okay, thanks. That's it on my side. Thanks, Maxime.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much. Appreciate it. And Marina, we'll switch over to you.
Yeah, so basically, I have similar questions as my previous jury members, but my question is still with regards to your MVP. So what is the first, if you go online, what is the minimum set of features your platform is going to have? I mean, like you're launching sometime soon, so because I doubt that you have everything you claim in your vision right now already online in 2 months. So what is the first feature your prototype is going to offer?
So we offer a co-creation framework. So we offer like light project framework for stages. People can vote, people can get revenue sharing, people can participate in gamified pre-sales, people can, what else they can do? They can get different social perks. So these kind of things.
Okay, so it's basically you targeting all these social interaction features, meaning how do you get people on the platform? So what is your customer acquisition strategy behind that?
So we spoke to 30 designers and we got more or less 100% yes. So more or less everybody wants to try it. So we sell the platform to emerging fashion designers. We educate and help them to run this super fans community, and we ask them to publish like 2-3 stories per week, bringing part of the audience from existing social media they have, Facebook, Instagram, and so it's the same acquisition strategy as Patreon or Substack does in the US.
Okay, understood. So basically, I think it's a really challenging environment you're going in there, because emerging fashion designers, if they would have a huge community and crowd, they wouldn't be emerging. So I honestly believe that 30 emerging designers are with you, but I'm not sure if they actually have the strong community to leverage to get people on another kind of interactional social media platform. But that's just my not knowing how fashion designer communities actually work, 2 cents on that one.
I think in our case, we don't need like many people. So the question is, will people be more engaged on our platform or less engaged than on Kickstarter or Instagram? So, and we think even if like there are 5-10 people, but they are very engaged and help a designer, it's fine for us too. But we believe that like on average, we think our communities will be like 200-300 people initially on the platforms, like 1% of the audience existing on Instagram, and we think it's enough for us. It's enough for our business.
Okay, cool. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very interesting. Love it. Okay, Claudia.
Okay, guys, maybe just a few comments since all questions or all important questions have been asked, actually. Thanks, ladies, for doing the work. So just from my side, maybe 2-3 points of feedback. Yeah, first of all, thanks, a very impressive story, Maxime. I have to say I was very impressed. Maybe a feedback for all of you guys. If the pitch is supposed to last 7 to max 10 minutes, it's within this time frame because investors have a very limited time. So I think I would really, if I was you, I would rehearse and try to stick within the time frame in general. Also, Maxime, for you, I think you can definitely also highlight the sustainability aspects of your business, because the whole process of make to order has definitely meets certain ESG criteria. And I know you said there's not a lot of VCs interested in your business models, but no matter what, all investors are looking at ESG criteria right now. So even if it's not part of your main story, I would have it in the backup. I got what Claire said, and she's from the real world. I'm in the investor haven where we imagine everything to be working beautifully. But I think if you really want to have a USP, you need to serve the whole value chain, because if the creators come to you, they want the one-stop shop solution. So if someone else is taking care of the production, if someone else is taking care of the supply chain of the delivery, so it has to be as easy as possible. And also what to Marina said, like, why would they come to you? So you need to have the easiest way to potentially co-create clothes or whatsoever, accessories and so on and so forth. So I think that's the only way in which you can differentiate yourself from competitors. And I also agree with Claire, what she said, there's a lot of stakeholders involved. So, and to acquire them, to maintain them, to partner with them, it's a very, very complex model. And you should make this clear to investors, how you're going to handle them and how you're going to approach them and how they're going to keep partnering with you in the future.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And since we have reached the end of Maxime's pitch, let's move on to our final company today. So we're going to be working or hearing from Vashi. It's going to be presented by Charles. If you want to go ahead, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. So welcome. I'm the CFO of Vashi. We're a business that's been 15 years to where we got to today. It's been profitable for 15 years. And we've built an extraordinary business model. I'm going to share with you, first of all, a short video to give you an insight into the store that we have. And then I will look at, obviously take you through what we're doing. So let's hope the sharing works. And off we go. Oh, the screen has gone blank. There we go.
We're trying to create a space that is engaging, that is inspirational, very immersive and transparent. And we are trying to demystify the whole industry.
We developed the retail concept based around the idea of a creator, really beautiful, neutral, natural textures, reminiscent of an artist studio, bringing the customer into the making process. Our active workshop is the anchor and the device. And that sense of craft is something that we're incredibly proud of.
Charles, I don't think it's online.
It's not working?
Making something.
Right, okay, so that's not sharing properly, right, sorry.
The volume is working, but the video isn't. Oh,
got it.
Maybe that's it.
Is that working now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's start again. Apologies for that. Okay.
We're trying to create a space that is engaging, that is inspirational, very immersive and transparent. And we are trying to demystify the whole industry.
We developed the retail concept based around the idea of a creator, really beautiful, neutral, natural textures, reminiscent of an artist studio, bringing the customer into the making process. Our active workshop is the anchor of our space and the defining feature. And that sense of craft is something that we're incredibly proud of.
Making something rather than just coming in and buying something, being able to go behind the scenes, under the bonnet, and really understand how jewelry can be designed and made is so compelling. The ring that we've made in Covent Garden is a real example of how far you can go on a journey. And I hope this piece just gives a sense of that.
We're bringing the workbenches out of the back room into front of house, where the customer can literally sit and play that active role with the maker. And immediately we could feel that was much more customer orientated as you're ambling your way down through Covent Garden. Right there in the window, there'll be 2 makers' benches for you to see.
So much emotional power and authenticity in these love messages in a digital form. The wall is an ever-changing, it's a living thing. We wanted to keep all its diversity, all its expressiveness, all its flaws, because that's what really makes it personal and human and beautiful.
The way people recall a scent is very similar to the way people recall a memory. The idea is this scent was the crankcase scent, which was pleasant but not overwhelming. So when you entered the store, you wouldn't necessarily notice the scent as such, but you would notice the environment felt different.
With the Vashi uniforms, it was important that they felt like a tribe together. They felt like a collective. Creates this language that allows you to feel like you can be a part of that world for a minute while you're creating something that is going past your lifetime.
We designed the sofa in such a way that people sit all the way around, and we've broken it into sections so that with the shape of the sofa should create these more intimate settings.
Covent Garden is the perfect location for us. Being on the corner of James Street and the piazza by the Royal Opera House is unbelievable. It has a lot of heritage, but then at the same time, it's very creative. It's a little bit playful, so it's a lot of fun, and it really goes with the interest of our brand.
Thank you. So that is Vashi, and I'll just make sure that the screen has gone. Good. Can you all see me? Okay. So yeah. So what is Vashi? So what we've done is compress the supply chain for fine jewelry into one store. So we now have a full vertically integrated manufacturing operation from scratch to finish, all happening in one store. So you can walk into that store in Covent Garden first thing in the morning, sit down with a award-winning designer, draw something up from your imagination, and there's in pen and ink on paper, and be walking out with a finished piece of jewelry later that day. Now, nobody's ever done this before. Nobody's ever had the casting in the store. And it's not just sitting at the back of the store. The whole store is built around this process. So you as a customer are part of it. You can watch and take part in yourself any stage of this manufacturing, from the CAD as we translate the designs into digital, into 3D print, making the mold, burning it out in the furnace, pouring the gold, potentially if it's platinum, up to nearly 2000 degrees centigrade there in the store, breaking the mold open when it's finished, and then cutting off the ring, setting the stone, finishing it, polishing it, and walking out with the finished product, potentially with your own personal engraving in your handwriting on the inside or the outside of that piece. So why are we doing that, and how are we doing it? What we're capturing here is something that encapsulates the 2 biggest trends in retail this decade, and that is the trend towards experiential and the trend towards mass customization and mass personalization. Everywhere in the world, we're talking to family offices, investors, entrepreneurs, private equity, bankers. Everyone is saying the same thing, that whatever vertical you're in, whatever location you're in, whatever generation you're talking about, everyone is moving towards mass personalization. We're seeing successful personalization models in sneakers, in swimwear, in house tiles, and wherever they're happening, they are taking market share at an alarming rate. We are doing the same in fine jewelry. We are taking a significant level of market share. To give you a sense of that, the last 6 years, from 2016 to 2022, we have delivered a 73% compound annual growth rate in sales. And we're doing that profitably at a high margin. Last year, we delivered 160 million in sales with $60 million in EBITDA, 36% EBITDA margin. And we continue to grow, and the growth rate of this business looks spectacular. So the customer loves it. And more importantly, the audience that really loves it is the young audience. It's the one that's taking away from it. So the three things driving customization, that move towards customization across the world, but particularly in fine jewelry, those are, number one, the millennial as a generation wants something more personal, is not content with the mass-produced item of their parents. Secondly, technology has made it possible. The 20th century was all about mass production. 21st century is about mass customization. Technology has brought the cost and time of creating something on the spot to the quality that you'd expect from a traditional model, has brought the cost down to parity, and in some cases below. And the third factor that's driving this shift is the success of luxury. 20, 30 years ago, if you bought a mass-produced luxury item, whether that's Cartier, whether that's a Louis Vuitton bag, you genuinely were in the top 0.1%. So it wasn't difficult to feel that while essentially that handbag or that piece of jewelry was mass-produced, nevertheless, you are special, you are rare for owning it. But over the last 20 years, luxury has been so successful that that has created attention. It's now the case that so many people own a Louis Vuitton bag or a Cartier piece that it's more obvious now that it's a mass-produced item. And so that is also driving a lot of people who want to stand out, who want to be unique, who want to be exclusive. They want to have something personalized. And unfortunately, that doesn't really work with a mass-produced model. So we are answering that need. We've mastered the technology. We've invested in technology to be able to bring and compress that down. Before we opened that Covent Garden store, it was generally thought in the industry that you could not cast a ring in less than 3 to 4 days. We're doing it in 3 to 4 hours. And we continue to push the boundaries of that to the point where we can deliver a high quality item equal or better than the quality you would expect from Cartier in 3 to 4 hours. And that transforms everything. Not immediately though. What it gives us, that supply chain, that ability to manufacture on demand, the most important factor is what it does to our ability to adapt to the market. Now, I think the best way to look at us is by the comparison with Zara. Zara did something very similar. They came into a clothing industry that was focused on lowering the cost of production, and everybody wanted cheaper manufacturing, and so they were moving further east and eventually ending up in China with a long, inflexible supply chain. And the trouble with long, inflexible supply chains is the items may be cheap to manufacture, but you can't respond to the customer. And what Zara did back then, and obviously we're seeing ever more improvements on that, they brought their manufacturing onshore, and because of that, were able to give the customer what they wanted faster. And I think we've seen, whatever industry you're in, if you can give the customer what they want before the competitors, you're going to take market share. And obviously Zara were very successful at that. They invented fast fashion and became the largest fashion retailer in the world. Nobody's done that in fine jewelry. And we have created that model. We've done more than Zara. We haven't just bought the manufacturing onshore, we bought the whole thing into the store. And so ethically, it's transparent. Practically, it's transparent because you see everything. There's no sweatshops halfway across the world building our products. You get to see and look into the eyes of the person who's making that. And that person, the goldsmith who's sitting there making your ring or your necklace or whatever the piece is, has probably worked in Graph for 30 years before they came to us, because that's where we steal a few in terms of talent. We get the best talent, obviously, in the world, and we train up a lot ourselves. So we are heavily invested in apprenticeships. We are the first company to have organized and arranged an apprenticeship with the Goldsmiths Company, where the apprenticeship can actually happen on corporate territory, and they get obviously to see the real world. So that's the consumer proposition. It is disruptive. We are operating in and opening up a huge white space in customization. There is customization, of course, and many of you may well have had customized rings, but typically it's not mainstream. It's in seedy back streets, or it's mum and pop shops. It's maybe, you know, your cousin's wife, or somebody who's doing it at a low level of volume. This is the first time that anyone's taken that customization and made it globally scalable. So this is the business. It's light years ahead of everyone else. In order for the big mainstream players who don't do any customization, none of the big luxury players do customization. Some of the high street do a minimal level of customization. They call it bespoke, but essentially it's just an automated model, and it's very minimal. And it's not about taking your, you and bringing it in. And it's really appealing. Our average age of our audience is 32. So we are able to, for the millennial generation is over 50% of our audience. It's less than 20% for the big luxury players. For Tiffany, Cartier, over 50% of their audience are baby boomers. So we are addressing the younger audience, and this is where we're taking our market share. Now we're doing that with a retail model that is, as I've said, profitable and high margin. And the reason is that we're using stores, physical stores, very effectively. We only have a flagship store. This is our model. You have a flagship store only, and you are not using stores as a route to market. The internet is far more effective than a shop at finding customers. Shops are too local. They have high fixed costs. They have low talent density. They're not efficient compared to the internet, where you've got scale, you've got data, and the ability to dynamically evolve your customer journey to suit the customer. So 80% of our customers and sales are online. Almost 100% of our customer acquisition is online. So we find everybody online. They do the browsing, they do the consultations online, they do their education online. 20% of them we send to the store for a physical purchase. And that means that when you've got this funnel of customers and sending 20% of what is a large number into a finite footprint, you get a high sales density. Our sales density in dollars per square foot per year is double that of Tiffany. Tiffany are the best retailer in the world in our industry, in our vertical, and the second best in the world after Apple in any vertical. And we're doing double the sales density that they are because of that model. So it's very efficient because you're putting a lot of sales through a small footprint. That compresses your unit costs. Our property or real estate costs are 3% of sales and have been for a few years. So you compress those unit costs, and that gets you the high margins. So it's a high margin business structurally. And the third and last part that I want to talk about is what we do with that supply chain. So we've captured the two biggest trends in consumer retail. We're way ahead of where the retail industry is going, and we are built for that audience. We're built for the future. We've got a retail model that uses stores efficiently. We use the stores to deliver trust and credibility. That's what you need stores for. So in our industry, all sales are driven by trust, credibility, and social validation. So if you want to be a success, you've got to have stores, you've got to have a luxury brand. And if you're an online player, you don't have that. You don't have access to that. You can't do it. So you've got to have a flagship store, but you only need a flagship. That's the efficient model. So I'm just going to add one extra thing, which is where we take this. We've got the consumer proposition that's taking market share. We've got the margins. We've got the growth. We've got the supply chain that underpins it all. What we get from that is a lot more than what you see on the surface. It's an ability to adapt to the market that is speeding up in terms of the pace of change. The whole world is speeding up in terms of the pace of change, but fine jewelry is going to speed up faster than most because it's been so slow and stayed. Nobody's ever been asked their opinion before. The fashions have not changed very quickly. What we have is an ability to evolve and adapt with a low cost of failure of new designs. When one of our big luxury competitors produces a new collection, and they'll produce probably a new collection once a year, they will have to spend 6 months designing it, 4 months manufacturing it, 3 months distributing it to hundreds of stores worldwide, and then spend a fortune on marketing it before they've ever sold a single item. If that goes wrong, the cost is horrendous. For us, all we need to do is get a digital image of a design, put it up on the internet, and if it never sells anything, that's the last we hear of it. It's not an expensive thing. It's quick and it's cheap. And if it does work, we can manufacture as many as you want. So we're able to test things out more quickly. Because we can do that more quickly and cheaply, we can iterate our product cycle faster. And we can do something unusual, unique in the industry, which is that we can design to the data. Everyone else, because they're developing products first and then marketing them, are using data to figure out who to market to. We use data to figure out what to design. So we have a sophisticated design team picking up patterns of behavior all across the audience spectrum, using AI and machine learning to figure out patterns of behavior, and then feeding those patterns and those emergent clusters of behavior back to the design team to design something specifically for that taste, that trend, that fashion, and that culture. And because we're able to iterate that so fast, currently we're iterating at the rate of 1 new collection a month. Eventually, we will bring that down to 7-day cycles, meaning that we're iterating our product cycle 50 times faster than the competition. And that means that we can evolve and adapt wherever we land in the world faster than anyone else. So that's the business model. It's a rapid adaptation business model. We plan to roll this out across the world to 300 plus cities around the world, probably 100 in the next 5 years, in the 5 years following exit. So in order to do that, we can't do that on our own. So where this business is heading is towards an exit in 3 years' time, because we need a partner like LVMH, Richemont, or Kering, who has the global infrastructure to help us roll out at the speed that this has the potential to do. In order to get there, we need to have executed on 3 things. And that's what takes us to 2025, because we need those 3 years to do these 3 things. They're not hard to do given where we are, but here are the 3 things. The first is to get an international footprint. That's why we are raising this round, which we finished and are now overfunding, that will allow us to build the 2 stores in New York and Miami. That will give us that international footprint. We will then be in a position ready for rollout. The second is to hit sales of $400 to $500 million. We're at 160. We should hit 250 this year. So we're not far off, but we need to hit those levels. Otherwise, we won't be at the right stage for acquisition. And the third is to bring the recognition of our brand up. And I can talk a little bit about that in the questions and answers. But that's why we think that we are going to exit in 3 years' time with some level of confidence and certainty. And we think that because we are going to be ready for a rapid rollout, once they take us over, we think they will pay us a high multiple. Cowen Bank recently put a report together suggesting that we should be exiting at 25 times EBITDA. You can buy Vashi shares today at 5 times EBITDA. So if we succeed in our forecasts of increasing our EBITDA by 5-fold and increase our multiple by 5-fold, you're looking at, as an investor, a 25 times return on your money in the next 3 years. And all we need to do is merely execute on a plan which we have great confidence in doing. And the nice thing is that you're buying a convertible loan note, not equity. So you don't have that downside of equity that you're locked in with no options. You've got that option to redeem if you don't like how things are going, and you get a 7% coupon, half cash, half rolled up. So if you choose to redeem, you will get your money out and have had a 7% bond, which is not a bad downside protection. And that's obviously backed up by a strong balance sheet with a lot of assets on it. If everything goes well, obviously you'll be able to convert, sell to equity and exit, as we hope in 3 years' time. That's the story. I hope you like it, and I hope you'll be inspired to invest. We don't have any minimum. We are very keen to have a wide audience of investors. We like the richness and diversity of opinions and advice. And so there isn't any minimum. It's a very exciting business. I've invested in every round myself. I went from being an angel investor to the CFO. So I clearly love the business, but it is a very exciting business. It gets more exciting the more you find out about it. I hope this has given you some initial sense of what this exciting business is about.
Thank you so much, Charles. I appreciate you sharing. We appreciate you sharing more. And I do want to pause here before we go into questions and just kindly say that we do have, we're coming down to the last 20 minutes to half an hour. I would love to make sure we hit everyone on the board and their thoughts. I know Claire has to, she mentioned that she has to get off first. Claire, are you okay to speak first, or do you need to drop off?
Thanks. I'll just ask two very quick questions, and apologies that I have to leave in 5 minutes. Thank you, Charles, for the presentation. The two quick questions are, number one, for the life of me, I do not understand the comparison with Zara. I just don't get it at all in any way. When I was at Morgan Stanley, we did the IPO of Inditex in the early 2000s, so I know the company intimately, and I just don't see any comparison with Vashi. And the second question is, I don't understand either why you're pitching to the startup club. The company's already raised like 57.8 million from some serious investors, so it just doesn't make sense. Like, why are you here and not sort of turning to your existing investors for further funding?
So we have about, starting with the last one, so we have about 400 investors. We have made a decision early on not to have any institutional investors. So all of our investors that we raise money from are high net worth and family office. And we've made a decision for two reasons. One is that we feel that institutions, when they come in, they tend to not look after the minority shareholders. That's not always, but there's always that risk. And with a business where you need to understand brand and you need to understand the consumer, typically finance people that tend to run those institutions don't understand that well. And we have found that regularly. So we've obviously got, as you can imagine, many of our investors from private equity and banking backgrounds. And many, many times we've had those financial investors trying to push us in certain directions and giving us advice that we obviously listen to. We listen to everyone's advice, but and where they have come back and said, I'm so glad you didn't take our advice, that what you've ended up doing was more far-sighted and was the right decision. And so for that reason, we wanted to ensure that this business is always driven for the minority shareholder and for all shareholders, and is all about creating long-term shareholder value, not short-term priorities of a lead investor, which can often be around timing or exits that may not be in the benefit of everyone else. In terms of the Zara model, the simple basis, we believe, and you may have a different view, but I think it's, I don't think there's any doubt that what Zara was able to do was react faster to the market and to fashion and get new ideas into store before others, on account of having a shorter supply chain. Is that something that chimes with you or not?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So
but
that's exactly what, and I think that's the secret of their success. They were able to, obviously they're doing something slightly different in the sense that the fashions that they're following are kind of red carpet ideas, and they're just copying something that they've seen on a celebrity and producing it for the mass market. The dynamic and the principle, though, is that you are simply giving the customer something they want before someone else can. because you can move faster and you've got your supply chain sorted out. That's the copy. So
Okay.
yeah, so we're able to, we've shrunk our supply chain to be able to deliver something in 4 hours instead of 12 months.
Okay, but I don't think you're doing yourself any favors comparing yourself to Zara. I mean, they're not exactly about customization, they're about copying everyone else's ideas. So, I mean, I actually think like you're much better than Zara in your concept, and I just don't think it helps you saying that, you know, you see yourself like Zara.
Well, only they obviously became the largest fashion retailer in the world, so you know they're doing something right.
Well, Shein is actually the largest, but anyway, I need to go. But thank you for your time.
Only recently, though, I guess.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you, Claire. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining with us. Next, we'll move on to let's hear from Claudia.
Okay, thank you very much, Charles, for the presentation. I think I've received your pitch deck twice, actually, and we didn't invest just for everyone to know, but it's also like a little bit late stage, or the model is not exactly what we're looking for at Pavao Capital. I have two major points and related questions. So one is, yesterday I looked at your social media profiles, and I was a little bit surprised because for Instagram, where you actually have a lot of followers, 100,000, I think, you deactivated the comment function. So I was like, you seem to be very process driven, and I get it, but where is the customer centricity? Where is the engagement with the customer if you did disable the comment function? Yeah, so that's something I really asked myself, or I looked at the Facebook, there is not a lot of likes, not a lot of engagement. So I think, and you were talking about AI earlier, so how are you going to apply AI if you don't have any interaction with your customer on your social media channels? Point one. And point two, I mean, I have a background in VC and PE, and I think a multiple expansion of 5-fold is just impossible within 3 years. So I don't get why you are valued 5 times or 6 times EBITDA right now, and then 25 times EBITDA in 3 years from now. So I don't get it. I mean, you might have another store, you might have the US as well, but I don't think that anyone has been able to do that very recently. So, I mean, prove me wrong, tell me another business which was able to do that. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, I mean, Cowan Bank says, you know, puts us in public market comparables, you know, so, you know, if you look at all of the exits in our space, they've been at the order of, I mean, Tiffany went for 24 times, Plunar went for 36 times.
But it's Tiffany said, I mean, they have a brand premium, which is a lot higher, than Vashi.
They have a brand premium, but they had no growth, right? You know, public market stocks are valued on growth. So, you know, if you have no growth, however long that cash flow is going to be, every market value is based on a future run of cash flows. Now, Tiffany, at the point that it was sale, had a long future, but it wasn't going up. It was, you know, 3 or 4%. So, you know, that 23 times multiple is fairly I with a lesser quality brand and a higher level of growth, because it's just a different cash flow.
I get it, but where is your current multiple then 5 if you're still such in a high growth?
So that's the point, really. It's the fact, it's not where we're going to end up, it's where we are today. And the reason that we're so cheap today is because we priced it in the middle of last year when the market crashed. We actually raised 27 million in the first half of the round at a $1.4 billion valuation, right? But then the market crashed in the middle of last year. All of our comparables dropped by between 75 and 95%. And the market, you'll remember, but the middle of last year, all the stocks were hit horribly. And that at that point, because we wanted to continue raising capital, we had to either bite the bullet and drop the price, or give up and wait for the market to get better. And our view was that if you're growing at 10% a year, and you take a 30% dilution, you're going to take you 3 years to recover even what you've lost. But if you're growing at 60% a year, and you do a 30% dilution, you've only lost 6 months growth. So if you stop raising capital and stop growing, for 18 months waiting for the market to come back, you've actually destroyed shareholder value. So we decided to do that devaluation and drop it down in line with the market. So we dropped it down to 250 million, which is at $300 million. So a 75% drop in value. And we're still, and investors today, right now, are lucky enough to be buying in at the end of that round that was repriced at the bottom of the market. 5 times EBITDA is unheard of as a low value, but we just want to raise the capital quickly in what is a very difficult capital market. Everybody I speak to everywhere is talking about the difficulty of raising capital today compared to the years gone by. And some of that is to do with the consumer outlook, and some of it is just global risk aversion from most major capital holders. So that's the environment we're in. We have such a high return on capital internally. It makes sense for us to raise money at almost any price. But in any case, we always like to share the benefits of this business far and wide. We've got over 400 shareholders, and we are a business that's built for minority shareholders, and therefore we've always looked for people at any level, as long as we can have a diversion, build out that ambassador level, build out the network and do it. But that's why we're at that price. Even Signet today, which is not going anywhere other than by acquisition, is an old-fashioned 20th century model, and we're at a 30% discount to them. So the banks are telling us, and the corporate financiers are telling us, that you can choose to raise capital at whatever price you want, but when you come to exit, it's a very different calculation. So
no, point taken. I get it. You're saying you buy low today, you're undervalued today, and then you get the real market price in 3 years' time. Okay. And about your social media strategy? So what's your target customer centricity social media strategy?
So look, I don't know about the comments. I mean, that's it's not something I can talk to because I'm not part of the design team, but we certainly have one of the highest levels of engagements of any brand in our sector. I think, if you look at any of the other brands, whether it's Tiffany or Majori or, any of the other locals, and look at their ratio of responses, likes, and to audience share, to followers, we've got one of the highest engagement rates of anyone.
The stats didn't show that, to be honest. So, yeah.
I mean, we've got a considerably higher ratio than our competitors. We may not. I don't know. Who you're comparing it to. Send me a list. After we can have a chat about it offline. But it's we are considerably higher than any of our competitors in the space in terms of level of engagement, and it's going to get higher as well. So one of the really interesting things that we're doing is over the last year, 18 months, we've started to get real traction with major sports stars, particularly other celebrities as well in the pipeline, but mainly sports stars. And we've signed 3. We've got another 4 in the coming up, who have between them over 1 billion followers. And what we're doing with them is something unique and innovative, which is not product endorsement. We've always felt that product endorsement doesn't work. If you just have a celebrity saying, look, here's me with a Vashi bangle, it doesn't work anymore. It's not authentic. The audience doesn't feel involved, and it just looks transactional, and it dilutes both people's brands. So what we're doing instead is we're bringing those athletes in, and in all cases so far, they've been investing 7-figure sums in the business in this round at this price. And they are the first ones. We've already had some shoots already. So what we're doing with them is they are coming and making a piece for someone they love at Vashi. And the benefits of that, it's not they're making a piece and selling a limited collection. They're actually making something for someone in their own family. And then we're filming that, and there's a documentary, and there's narrative, and there's loads of media content around that. And what that does is 2 things that's unique. One is it will have a huge level of engagement, because people who are fans of major athletes are starved of information about who they are as people, and really want to know who they are, and to have this opportunity to have the inside story of their values, what they care about, who they care about, and so on, is going to be, we think, enormously engaging. Secondly, it helps them to build their brand. Typical product endorsement drains your brand, but this will help them to put emotion and value into building the brand in the way that they want to build it. And that's what they're seeing, and that's why the word is getting around, and we've got a big pipeline of super successful athletes at the top of their game in almost every vertical, mainly Europe and America at the moment, but obviously that'll spread around the world, some in the subcontinent as well. So, you know, that's a new thing. It's not in our financials, but we do think that as that starts to hit in the second half of this year, we should see a very significant growth from that, as people start to be inspired by that and think, I'd like to make something of myself as well. And then, of course, we are the preeminent name for people who decide to make something of their own.
No, that sounds fantastic, and congratulations on these partnerships. I would still figure out why you have so little Facebook comments and likes, and also the deactivation of the Instagram comments. I think is something you should just have a look at it. Give it back to the team. I think it would be for them to elaborate further.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate it. And Claudia, your great thoughts. I will switch now. We have two final thoughts from board members, and then we'll do a concluding round of remarks from everyone to finish up. Marina, love to hear from you next.
Yes, sure. So I feel a lot what Claudia is actually saying around customer-centric social media, community buzz and everything, because that's the major step one has to take to become a love brand. But honestly, I'm challenging this small investors approach, because to actually become one of the largest companies in the world, you need the institutional know-how of somebody who knows how large corporations are being built and scaled. And that's something. So with regards to your strategy, I honestly believe that it's hindering to have 400 investors on board to become this, to follow your vision and to reach your goal. And it's not leveraging because I'm like, it's a great thing for the institutional, for the small investors. But I believe that for scaling your business and to get with the valuation where you want which you want to reach, I think that's quite challenging. But this is my question. What is actually from your point of view, what is your largest weakness, or say that way, what is your largest challenge you have to tackle right now? Because you spoke a lot, Charles, you're really good in actually being out there and saying, hey, we know this, and we are able to do this. So you're really bullish and you know what you're talking about, but what is the weakness behind that? Because if everything you're saying would be like that, you wouldn't sit here with us and pitch it. So that's kind of where is the challenge? What is there out there your company is not able to accomplish right now?
Well, look, I mean, an institutional financial investor is not running the business. So, you know, an institutional financial investor has zero experience of running a big industrial business. You know, you need people in the business who have that experience directly. And one of the success stories, why we've been able to execute so well over the growth rate that we've delivered, is because Vashi has always hired people into the business who have experience at the highest level and are the highest caliber people. And that's the way you execute. You know, you don't do it by having a private equity guy sitting on your board. They don't get involved in the business. They're not really adding anything. And actually, we've raised $300 million from small investors. So it is tough, you know, but it's possible. And you know, some of that is debt, and we paid it back. The rest of it sitting on the balance sheet, making this have a strong balance sheet that we've got that's driven the business. And I'm not sure why you'd question why we're still raising money. I mean, if a company is growing, well, I mean, we are at the very end of our capital raising for sure. We're about to turn free cash flow positive. We were free cash flow positive in December. And we'll be consistently free cash flow positive from this year onwards, and generating more than enough cash for our growth CapEx requirements. So, you know, but we're right at the end of that round, which is a very nice place to be for investors. You know, coming in at the point of least risk when everything's been done is a very nice place to invest. But we have found that approach of going to a wide selection of investors has been enormously valuable, because we've got people with such wide experience from different generations, from different verticals, from having built up businesses in all kinds of different worlds, in all kinds of verticals, in all kinds of situations, in 21 different countries across the world. And that variety of perspective is invaluable when you're building a business in a world that's changing as fast as we're changing. And I think we've never stopped talking to institutions, but we've never found one that had the some of our investors have obviously institutionalized their family offices, so we see some of it, but we've never been that impressed by the big private equities that come in and say that they know everybody in the world. They don't. We can go out and find and meet people, and we've got some wonderful shareholders, and we're always looking for cool, interesting people who can give us advice, who can spot things, who can question us, who can challenge us, like Claudia's doing. And that's the kind of investor we want. We want those challenges because it makes you think about things, and the more you've got, the better. We've got people who run and own private equity in East Coast, West Coast America. We've got people who have been leaders of FTSE 100 companies, chairman of Rolls-Royce, chairman of Rothschilds. We've got people who've been chief executive of Barclays or Rio Tinto. We've got the industry experience in there. We've got people with financial experience. We've got people with experience of growth businesses. So there's some really sophisticated people. In many cases, we've got the managing partners of private equity groups. We won't take the money of the fund, but we will take the private money of their main executives, because we get the benefit of their wisdom, but not the strings that come with their funds. So that's been our approach. It has been tough, but we've delivered, and I think it's a really interesting way of raising money, and it means coming to a lot of environments like this, where we meet a lot of really interesting people that introduce us to other interesting people. And I love the networking impact, and it's forums like this that I think are really fruitful, and it's a real pleasure being here.
Great, thank you, Charles. All the best.
Thank you both so much. And I heard from Josephine, who will have go last. She does need to go a little bit early before final remarks. So Josephine, if you want to hop in, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, Charles, for your pitch. It was super dynamic, and congrats for your results. Totally agree with you in terms of experience personalization. It's super crucial for retailers, especially in luxury brands. You mentioned a lot emotion on your pitch, so I think it's super important in the boutique, and we can see that it works well with your boutique, very beautiful, and we can feel the emotion and the personalization with your video. But when it's digital, it's way more difficult. And I check your website, so there's a lot of interesting info about your products. But you mentioned that there's a lot of millennials in your clients, so I think online business for them, it's super important. Maybe my advice would be to improve the product interaction. I've seen that you have only photos. Maybe you can use like Cartier, for example, that use 3D interaction with the product to really interact with the customers and to have like the real product. You can see not only like 2D images. And in terms of personalization also, it's very interesting to create your own ring, for example, but maybe you can use also AR for millennials. I know it works well. Is it something that you are thinking about, developing new features and new tools on your website, or it's not?
Yeah, so I mean, we are perennially disappointed by our website. I mean, and the speed at which it grows. I mean, there's a ton of things that are going to be coming up in the future. One of the biggest constraints for us is that to do what we're going to do and to deliver the growth we need to deliver, first of all, we've got to get the brand.
Yeah.
Building a luxury brand is incredibly difficult. Building a luxury brand, just to give you some insight into some of the challenges. So two of the biggest benefits, I would say, of Vashi are the speed and the cost. We're priced at about 45% discount to Tiffany. And if people come into the store and spend half an hour walking around the store, they get a sense of luxury. They understand the quality. They've spoken to the goldsmiths. They've picked it up. They've had explained to them exactly what makes quality in a ring and why this is quality and why something else isn't. They've felt the woods, the marble, the environment. They've had the person at the door open the door as they walked up to them, like you would expect at a 5-star hotel. They've had the service levels that you get in a 5-star hotel, which is very different from the intimidating, unpleasant experience that you have in most luxury jewelry stores, where they're trying to generate exclusivity. We're trying to generate inclusivity. We want you to walk in and feel welcome. We want you to, just like the big 5-star hotel chains try to do, they want you to feel well known, welcome, and like the staff have got all the time in the world for you. That's what you get in Vashi. You have fun, it's enjoyable, it's relaxed, and you've got all the time in the world. So, but once you come in, you feel all that. And after half an hour of that, we can tell you that this can be done in a day. We can tell you that this is, at low price, and you will accept that, and it won't deteriorate your feeling of the brand because you'll have already had enough experience of it. But if you come to the website and you've seen this for 2 seconds, and the first thing that you hear is you can have a Cartier quality ring in 4 hours, or it's half the price of Tiffany, the only thing you're going to walk away from is it must be cheap. The biggest challenge that we've got is that we can't put any of this AI, we can't do anything that looks like a gimmick or looks cheap, because the first thing we've got to do is build a luxury brand. And that is, the main part of that is through positioning the store, having a luxury store in a location that is next to Chanel, next to Louis Vuitton, next to Apple, so that we have all the social validation of it. We've then got to build the quality of the store out so that people who visit the store, and of course, although 80% of our sales are online, 2/3 of those customers have been into the store at some point. It's a long journey, and they'll have dropped in maybe to choose the diamonds or maybe just to have a look around. So the experience is really important. And the quality of that brand is something that we've been building and we're still at an early stage of. So we have to be so careful to get the brand right first, and then more of the flexibility can come in. But it's, that's why, for most of us, the website feels very poor, in terms of what it can offer, because we know this, partly because we know of the 100 different things that are coming down the line. For example, to overcome that distance and be able to facilitate remote involvement, we're going to be bringing a high definition video so that you'll have you'll be able to see the piece being made. You'll have parts of your Zoom screen will be the magnifying glass, so you'll be able to see the diamond as if through a magnifying glass. You'll have an experience of being involved in it that's a bit like going to a football match on screen versus being there. You get the atmosphere when you're there, but you get a much better insight into the game from the TV. So we think we can develop that kind of interaction and involvement through multiple screens and so on. We can get cameras inside the laser machine. We can get cameras right up so that you can really get an experience of your piece being made. And one of our shareholders is the chief executive of Rio Tinto. One of the things they're doing is looking at filming the blast in the mine from where your stone comes from and blockchaining that back up so that you'll be able to get, one of the things we're doing when we make you a piece, you get a book, you get a video, you get the CADs, you get the drawings, you get the pictures, and we're going to put that onto an NFT so that you get that. And we're looking at embedding that NFT into the piece of jewelry so that you can wave your phone over it. Up comes the whole story. And then we encourage you to bring more narrative in it. So that there's a million things that we can do, but the brand has to come first.
Yeah.
Web relaunch is happening soon, right, Charles?
It is. So we've spent actually the last 12 months completely rebuilding the website from scratch on Shopify, which is a much better system. Got rid of all our technical debt and looking forward to launching that, which will give us a lot more dynamism and a lot more data. So, one of the things that is always a little bit frustrating for me, because I'm kind of at the front end, sort of, talking about the vision, is that the reality is a long way behind, because there's so many parts that have to be put together. When you're building a high performance agile business like this, we can't just, I made it sound easy, we have a design and we put it up online and see if it works. but the complexity of putting a product out at that speed, where the data, the retail guys, the people in the store, the people in the CAD, the production team, every time we make a design, we have to think, the designers have to think like video game designers. Because we have to think not just who's going to buy this, but how is every customer going to evolve that product? Because 90% of our products are customized.
Yeah.
But most of them are just taking a product that we've already got and evolving it. So we have to think, what will the customer do? What are the different, so it's a whole decision tree. We're not just creating a product, we're creating a family with every single product. All of that complexity has got to be thought through. It's got to be able to be manufactured at a granular level. All of the, so it's a really complex business we're building. So, but Vashi is very focused, and this business is focused, and that's why we get everything right, because we get the very best people in the world into it, and we make sure that every piece is built up stage by stage. And sometimes that's a bit slow, and it seems a bit slow, and a lot of the stuff isn't too obvious at the front end, but it's extraordinary how once it does hit the public, it then works. I mean, if you even going back 2 years ago, mid-COVID, we had 17,000 followers on Instagram. So, you know, we've now got 375,000, you know, and I'm going to have an argument with Claudia after this. Claudia, you're going to send me an email, charles@vashi.com, and then send me your stats and I'll send you mine. We'll see where we come to on that. But you know, it has got high engagement compared to every other competitor that I've ever looked at, sometimes 10x the engagement of other competitors that I've looked at. So I'll be very interested to see which one Claudia's looked at. It may be some that I haven't seen, but it's, you know, it's a phenomenal achievement, but still it's a tiny number compared to where we're going to be in 4 years' time. So you know, we bring it out, but we are super careful because we're building, having in mind that this is going to be a global rollout. And if we're going to get the multiple, again, back to Claudia's point, if we're going to get that 25 multiple, LVMH, when they look at us in 2025, they need to see a business that is ready to roll out to another 100 stores. So that means all of the underneath the bonnet, all the engineering, all the systems, the processes need to be immaculate and working like clockwork, because there's no way that if they look at this and say, this is going to fall over after 6 stores, they're not going to buy us, or they're certainly not going to pay us a high price. So, you know, there is a lot more underneath than what you see. And, you know, it's coming. So it's going to be very exciting next few years.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Charles. All the best. And that's it on my side. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you so much, Josephine. I appreciate you both. Great feedback and comments from you all. And it's been a pleasure to have everybody. I know that Josephine, you mentioned that you have to drop off. I would love to hear from the final board members. Thank you for joining us as well. And hear from the final board members, any concluding remarks that you have for these great companies.
I'm wondering for Vashi, how are you doing in a tough consumer environment today? How are your revenues year to date in what is arguably, you know, people are very concerned about consumer debt and the markets and inflation and all that stuff. How are you guys performing relative to that backdrop in the UK, no less?
Yeah, thanks, Todd. So this year so far we're 39% up year to date. You know, in a adverse environment. Last year we delivered double-digit growth. Our stores were up 35% year on year. You know, despite closing 2 stores as we closed out our concessions. So I think we've got the hard numbers to show that we are not correlated to consumer spending. So and those at least you know, we are affected by it, but not significantly, because we're taking, you know, our growth comes from taking market share, and we have a high delta between the product and the service that we're providing and what everyone else is providing.
And are you opening up any other physical locations this year, and what kind of location and where, if so?
So we're going to be opening up our second major flagship store in London, which is on the corner of Old Bond Street and Piccadilly. And that is in the site that used to be the De Beers flagship store. It's probably the most prestigious location in the UK as a retail place, just opposite the Ritz, at the gatekeeper at the entrance to Old Bond Street, where all the big luxury players are.
Great. Congrats.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, Todd. Final thoughts from the other board on all of the pitches? All right. Well, if no one has any other final remarks, just appreciate everyone joining us today. And thank you for everybody that attended the event. It's been great hearing from the companies as well. Share your pitches, really great and inspirational to share that with everybody. As we mentioned in the chat, we will post to YouTube in the next few days and have this available. And if anyone has any questions or concerns, let us know. But otherwise, we just really appreciate your time and joining us. Thank you all.
Thank you.